Every country has a name. It appears in textbooks, in laws, in every official document, shaping how a nation is recognized. But in the case of the Philippines, that name was not originally chosen by its people. It was given during colonization and carried into independence. Even after gaining independence in 1946, the name remained. But what if it didn't? In this case study, we explore an alternate history. What if the Philippines changed its name after independence?
The name Philippines was given during Spanish colonization in honor of King Philip II.
Before colonization, the islands had no single national name. They were made up with independent communities, each with its own identity. Spain later unified these islands and named them Las Islas Filipinas after their king, King Philip II. After Spanish rule, the United States took control of the islands until the Philippines finally gained independence in 1946.
Yet, despite freedom, the colonial name remained.
When the country gained independence in 1946, it entered a period of rebuilding and redefining itself as a nation. In that moment, every decision mattered, including the choice to keep its name. Because keeping it may not have been just a simple act of continuity. It may have influenced how the nation moved forward, politically, culturally, and globally.
My dear Filipinos, today we stand at the end of a very long and a painful journey. But let us remember, freedom did not arrive unscarred. The war has ended, yes, but its consequences remain, and every home that was burned, every family that was displaced, and every life that must now begin again. Independence alone is not enough. We have inherited a nation that must be rebuilt not only in its structure but in its spirit.
In the months following liberation, debates emerged among national leaders. Some argued that the Philippines, named after a colonial king, no longer reflected the identity of a free people. Others believed that changing the name would mean breaking too sharply from history.
But one question has continued to rise among our leaders and our people. What does it truly mean to be free? Is it enough to govern ourselves when we carry the identity of those who once ruled us? In unity, we must also find identity. And after careful consultation with the leaders of this republic, I bring forward a proposal that reflects our shared future. From this day forward, in recognition of our full sovereignty and national identity, our nation shall adopt a new name. Not to erase our past, but to redefine our future. But remember this, a nation is not strengthened by its name. It is strengthened by the unity of its people and the courage to rebuild what was once destroyed.
On that day, the Philippines did not only emerge from the war, it emerged into a deeper question of identity, one shaped by history, sacrifice, and the hope of a united future.
Finally, it feels like we completely own our identity. We are no longer defined by colonizers. This is ours. A new name does not erase old struggles. Will this change our lives?
I support it, but I worry about education outside the country. What happens to our education abroad?
This change affects almost everything. Our laws, our records, and even how the world unites us.
Then we proceed carefully. If we don't, confusion will follow.
A nation is not changed by declaration alone. It is shaped by acceptance and time.
The change was welcomed with pride and questioned with caution. But in both celebration and doubt, one truth remained clear. The nation had begun to define itself, not by the past alone, but by the conversation of its people.
We examined multiple historical sources, but history is not always in agreement. Sometimes it is a debate.
So according to Renato Constantino, Filipino identity was heavily shaped by colonial influence. He even argues that even national symbols like the country's name reflect that history. So if we follow this perspective, keeping the name Philippines after independence may suggest that colonial influence still lingers. Shouldn't true that independence include redefining that identity?
However, according to Teodoro Agoncillo, nationalism is built through shared experiences. He emphasizes that the Filipino identity was shaped by revolution, resistance, and unity. So even if the name Philippines came from colonization, it has already been redefined by the people themselves.
But as Constantino suggests, can something rooted in colonialism ever fully represent a free nation? Or are we just simply adapting to what was imposed on us?
And as Agoncillo replies, identity is not fixed at its origin. It evolves through history and through the people who give it meaning.
Looking at Philippine Independence Day in 1946, including speeches and national records, we see that leaders like Manuel Rojas focused on rebuilding the nation. According to these historical accounts, unity, economic recovery, and stability were the top priorities. So while changing the name could assert identity, it might also have uncertainty during a certain period.
These sources do not give us one answer. They present different viewpoints, each shaped by its own interpretation of history.
We chose these sources because they offer diverse perspectives. Through them, we didn't just study history, we interpreted it. And from this interpretation, we imagined a different path, a Philippines that might have chosen a new name and a new identity.
In the end, history is not only what happened, it is also how we choose to understand it.